How's it going, my beautiful people? So, as you can tell from the title of this video, this is something very different from my channel. It's something, the direction I really want to be taking, and this is the first step in it. And first and foremost, I want to, from a consumer standpoint, explain to you the Nintendo Switch. From a consumer standpoint, explain to you why you should be excited about the Switch. And from a gaming perspective, from a gamer to another gamers, why you should not only invest into a Nintendo Switch, but be extremely excited about the Nintendo Switch. We'll talk about the software for it, all the games coming out. We'll talk about all that later on in the video. First and foremost, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Let's get into the tech-savvy stuff, and I will try to keep it as, English as possible because I am a tech-savvy person, so I wrote down a bunch of notes in order to convey this in a proper manner to you, ladies and gentlemen, in order for you guys to understand how truly powerful and how a technological marvel the Nintendo Switch really is. Okay, let's get down to it. First and foremost, let's talk about the CPU, the Central Processing Unit. Now, we will compare it to the Xbox One and PS4. We'll start about the Xbox One and PS4 compared together, and then we'll add on the Switch there. So first and foremost, the PS4 and Xbox One have an AMD 8-core CPU that clocks in for the Xbox One at 1.75 GHz and for the PS4 at 1.65 GHz. Very powerful units. AMD's 8 cores for CPU is phenomenal. They're great. They're something else. All right, for a CPU, you're good there. Going over to the Switch, you have a NVIDIA customly built from Nintendo, 8 cores, 2 GHz CPU. So this thing will be flying when it comes to the Central Processing Unit. This thing, the operating system, is not gonna have glitches. I mean, this is something else. For something that is inside of a tablet with a 1280 by 720 display that's 6.2 inches is incredible. Alright, the fact that they can shove it in there and make it work the way it does and clock in at 2 GHz is marvelous. It's beating the Xbox One and PS4, and that's a home console. Okay, so let's get further down the line. Okay, so we obviously know that the CPU on the Nintendo Switch is more powerful than either of those consoles. Let's get out into the GPU, or the graphics processing unit. This is what we all the gamers care about. Let's start with the Xbox One. Xbox One has an AMD 8-core GPU that runs in about 768, shader cores that clocks in at around 1.3 teraflops. That's pushing it, usually around 1.1, with 8 gigabytes of RAM, 5 of which are dedicated towards gaming. Beast. Monster right there for you, you know what I mean? And the fact that it has almost 770 shader cores is telling you how pretty impressive the Xbox One really is. Now, if we're going to the PS4, it has also a customly built AMD 8-core GPU with over 800 shader cores, which is very impressive, and clocks in at a most of 1.8 gigahertz. Also using 8 gigabytes of RAM, 5 of which are dedicated towards gaming. Out of those 1.8 teraflops, it usually only utilize about 1.5. For very few games, it pushes that 1.8 teraflop. Now, if we're gonna go over to the actual Nintendo Switch, we have the following. We have a Tegra X1 Maxwell 2nd generation processing unit that has 4 cores. Now, you're probably thinking, well, that's half of the actual cores that the AMD processor has, and is 2nd generation, which is roughly the same thing that AMD's generation was built off of, and is not even the 3rd generation that's currently being released in all the new Shield products. True, that is very true. But however, a custom unit built by Nintendo, because this wasn't just a unit built from NVIDIA and put into the Switch, it was the same architecture as the leading GeForce X4 graphics card. Okay, on the same architecture as that was placed into this, and is running off a Tegra X1 2nd generation Maxwell processor. So it's gonna be a beast. The fact that Nintendo didn't just take the easy way out and put this sucker in there and actually built it on their own, really amped it up as much as they possibly could through that architecture, really tells you a lot. Alright, you know what I mean? Really tells you a lot. I mean, listen. It's gonna be a pretty powerful beast. Even with 4 cores, this Tegra X1 is a pretty powerful machine. I've seen it in Shield tablets. It's a beast. You know what I mean? And it's on the 2nd generation Maxwell, not Pascal. Don't let that confuse you. Pascal's the newer stuff coming in. Maxwell's a little bit older, but still very powerful. Very powerful. Let's get down to a little bit of the nitty gritty. It has 256 CUDA cores. CUDA cores are about twice as powerful as shading cores. Now, if you're wondering, as I said, the PS4 has over 800 shading cores. CUDA core, 256 CUDA cores will be about 520 shading cores. Now, that's roughly 65-70% of the actual shading cores of the PS4. In my opinion, for a handheld, for a tablet that is able to withstand graphics for home console and being able to take on the go, that is very, very impressive. That is something that is unheard of. All right, this is already going to be the most powerful handheld ever created, as well as a very powerful home console as well. Now, it can usually clocks in around 800 megahertz for its GPU, which is not that bad at all. Trust me when I tell you that. It is not that bad at all, and can push up to 1 teraflop. In my opinion, for what they are trying to do, it is enough. Alright, games nowadays, there are very few games that actually utilize the entire, 768 shading cores on the Xbox One or 800 on the PS4 and push that 1.8 teraflop, as I said beforehand in this video. So having 800 gigahertz being clocked in usually and pushing up to 1 teraflop, the Nintendo Switch is a powerful beast. Alright, it is a powerful beast, and 4 gigs of RAM, 3 of which can be dedicated towards gaming. That's a mother canucker of a gaming console. Alright, and it all fits in to a tablet. As I said, technological marvel. Alright? It is insane to me that people are honestly saying that the Switch is extremely underpowered. It is not extremely underpowered. CPU is better than the Xbox One and PS4. It has CUDA cores. Alright, 256 CUDA cores, which is better than shading cores. 4 gigs of RAM, just 3 dedicated towards actual gaming, but that's just 5 of which are dedicated towards gaming, the PS4 and Xbox One. 2 gigs of RAM difference is not that much. It's really not that much when you consider it. Alright, especially when you have a processing unit for a GPU such as a Tegra X1 Maxwell 2nd generation that has 4 cores. It is ridiculous. Built on the same architecture as the industry's leading gaming graphics card. It is insane. Just insane to me. And the fact that people will go on record saying that this is not going to be a powerful console is beyond me. You know what I'm talking about? So if you have any questions about the actual nitty-gritty hardware stuff, please do comment in the comment section below. Let everyone else have a conversation about it. If you enjoyed this, stay tuned because now we're going to be talking about the games. So a lot of people are going to go on record saying that they're going to lose, Nintendo is going to lose third-party support within a year. I do not agree with that. I believe that because of the hardware aspects of the Nintendo Switch, it is not only capable, but it will be capable of running big third-party games. Not as beautifully as they will run on the PS4 and Xbox One, nowhere near compared to the, PS4 and Project Scorpio, but we'll talk about that in a sec. It will still be able to have great third-party games. Like all the sports games will be easily ran on the Nintendo Switch. Like easily. You have no idea. Easily ran on the Nintendo Switch. Alright? The actual game engine for like NBA 2K, for example, the latest NBA 2K games, 2K17, the next 2K18, is easily transferred to this kind of hardware power. Alright, I mean, you'll just have to tone down a few things and very limitedly tone down them, okay? You will barely see a difference. So you have your sports games consistently being on here. Games from, like, let's say Activision's Call of Duty, even though I'm not a big Call of Duty fan, but it does sell, especially if they take the actual genre of first-person shooter, 60 FPS, to a little bit different direction instead of going to the future to the past. I digress. They can sell, and it can run on the Nintendo Switch. Skyrim, even though it's not going to be as beautiful as the PS4 and Xbox One, it will still be able to run on this actual system. Bethesda went on record saying that Fallout 4 can run on this system. From Software said that they ran their game Dark Souls 3 on the Nintendo Switch, and they were very impressed, and it had no stutters, no glitches, so they are considering actually porting that game and maybe even developing future games for this system. Shows you that right there. So third-party support, people should calm down. This sucker will have third-party support as long as it sells, and it will sell because it is Nintendo. Alright, it has these beautiful Joy-Cons that are designed for the controllers, HD rumble feature, highest rumble feature in the entire gaming industry, up to date. Okay, you know what I'm talking about? This is going to be something that is unheard of. The rumbles, if you saw the presentation, are insane. They were just giving an example of they were, playing a game where you were holding a goddamn glass, and ice would be dropping, and you would feel the ice cubes drop and how many would drop, and you feel the water pouring and actually it getting heavier, and you would feel everything in it. That's insane to me. Games like, for example, Breath of the Wild, which we'll talk about in a sec, will utilize that to its full advantage. And in my opinion, when you design a game with rumbles, you know, in your head, and you want to be more immersive, which a lot of the big third-party games, even like Skyrim, FIFA, Madden, you know what I'm talking about, and exclusive games all have in mind, the fact that this kind of rumble feature is available to their disposal is going to make them want to invest into that even more, because games are developed to be immersive, and this right here will make them that much more immersive. Continuing on, the Nintendo Switch is going to be filled with first-party content that will sell systems. You have the biggest game, the most anticipated game of this entire year, Breath of the Wild, being a launch title. It is a system seller. That game is a system seller. Okay, and then instead of shrouding you with horrible first-party content at launch and just stacking you with games that you can't afford because you already spent that $300 towards the system and $60 towards a big launch game like Breath of the Wild, instead of doing what a lot of consoles do, and that's put out 15 to 20 games, 2 of which are only worth buying, okay, on launch date, and are mostly ports, by the way, from the previous generation, Nintendo thinks, why should we do that? We'll spread it out. We'll have every month or every other month, we'll have a big exclusive coming to you, and we'll have indie games in between and third-party games in between to keep the people occupied. That's very smart, because that's the way you sell systems. You sell systems not by having a shit ton of games at launch or a shit ton of games coming out within 1 month. You have it spread out within a year. You know, and you have Breath of the Wild, you have the new IP ARMS, Splatoon 2, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the new Mario Odyssey game, Xenoblade 2, Fire Emblem Warriors, just to name you a few. Just to name you a few games coming to this system. You know what I mean? And you're going to have Metroid game, and the most beautiful part about it, there will be new IPs. Nintendo said they want to release 1 new IP every year, and that is very much so on schedule. On top of that, when it comes to games, Nintendo put together their developers when it comes to home consoles and on-the-go consoles, because this right here, the Nintendo Switch, will be their system now. It's not going to be about a home console and handheld when it comes to 3DS. 3DS is dying. 2017 is the last year for the 3DS. Okay, that is a fact. Everything that Nintendo is doing from this point on is with the Switch. And when you have so many developers coming in together and developing games for one system under Nintendo, the system's gonna have so many goddamn games, you will know what to do with it. Okay, you don't know what to do with it. They'll have smaller games, bigger games, new IPs, you know, must-haves, everything for everyone, for any type of genre you're looking for, any type of audience, Nintendo will have it. And on top of that, this is a fact, ladies and gentlemen. People have went on record saying this, that the Nintendo Switch is easier to develop for and port to than the actual Xbox One and PS4, due to the fact that it is not as powerful, but still very powerful. I mean, this thing can run the Unreal Engine 4 at its full capacity. You know what I'm talking about? It's one of the most powerful gaming engines in current-gen consoles. Just to give you an example, you know what I'm talking about? And the fact that Nintendo is investing into indie developers and is investing into new IPs, creating games specifically for the system with incredible graphics, you know what I mean? Bringing back fan favorites, you know, like Metroid, that is in development, alright? I have a good authority to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that a new Metroid game is in development. Everything that's going to be put out for this system is going to make you want to own, is what I'm trying to say. And because of that, because of the system sales going through the roof, first-party support, indie developers really putting out great games for the system, third parties, just like with the Wii, will want to develop for this. Alright, Bethesda went on record saying that they are actually considering creating an exclusive game for the Switch. EA went out there and said they're going to make the most immersive FIFA experience up to date because of the actual feature of the Switch. Not only can you play at home, you can play on the go. You can flip those Joy-Cons into, you know, one side, play with a friend on the go, whatever you want. It is so immersive that even EA said, yeah, we got to develop a game specifically for this goddamn thing. You know what I'm talking about? So if the unit sales are there, if the incredible software sales are there, incredible software is developed for this game, third parties will want to jump in here and then develop games for it. You know what I'm talking about? But let's talk about the exclusive for a little bit. Let's talk about a little more Breath of the Wild. System seller. You know what I'm talking about? The new Mario Odyssey game. System seller. That will be bundled. You know what I'm talking about? The games that Nintendo will put out are going to be very, very immersive. And on top of that, I also want to say the following, because I'm a little bit going all over the place because of how passionate I am about this. the fact that it doesn't utilize discs and cartridges, they already have one up on the Xbox One and PS4. Cartridges can store more memory than a Blu-ray disc, okay? Faster reading speed, no installs. Think about that. When you buy a game, usually, you have to install it on a disc, which is stupid because the Xbox One and PS4 CPUs or GPUs are not powerful enough to actually read it off the disc. That's why you have to install it to the hard drive and read it off the hard drive. They just use the disc as like the key, a key to read the game, which is stupid. Here, just stuck in the cartridge, right there, you can game. No install, faster loading screens, less glitches. It's beautiful, beautiful. And because of that, developers will be really eyeing it because, sure, as I said, the actual hardware is not as powerful. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that. It's about 55% of the power of the PS4 when it comes to the GPU. You know what I mean? But it's still very powerful. And the fact that it utilizes cartridges will make it that much easier to develop games for it because of the faster reading speed. And that is very attracting to big third-party developers. So you have nothing to worry about when it comes to actual games. Really. You really don't have anything to worry about because this sucker is Nintendo's investment into the next 5 years. Not just as a home console, but as a gaming on-the-go console as well, a handheld. They really do believe that if they put all of their efforts into develop games specifically for this system, it's going to be amazing. Look at the 3DS. The 3DS has sold over 50 million units to consumers since 2011. Okay? Has some of the best games developed for it. Truly, some of the best game developers from third-party developers and first-party developers that are all going to be coming together now and developing for this one system with these kind of high-end graphics. That to me alone is a selling point. I really, really do love everything about the Nintendo Switch, from its hardware capabilities to the Joy-Cons to the being able to play on the go as well as at home, first-party games, third-party games, new games coming in. The investment from Nintendo is real, ladies and gentlemen. They knew how badly they fucked up with the Wii U. They knew. They know, and they will not even deny it. Okay, they will not. They'll not say, "Oh yeah, it was horrible." But they were very, 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 very unpleased with the Wii U. They know that they didn't market it properly. They know they didn't market it towards the right demographic. They really underpowered it compared to the Xbox One and PS4. That's why they came out with this system. They're putting their efforts together. They're investing into this. They're going to market this thing properly. They really, really, really want to sell this to gamers. All right, and this leads me to my last point. As a consumer, as an adult, I'm 20 years old. I work up to 30 hours a week. You know what I'm talking about. I have hobbies. I go to the gym. I work out. I go out with friends. I don't have that much time to game. As much as I don't like to admit it, I don't have that much time to game. You know what I mean? Usually I do it during the night times from Thursday to Sunday night. You know what I mean? That's usually the time I game. You know what I mean? This right here is for people like me, for adults, young teenagers, you know what I mean? Young adults, adults in general, that have jobs, that have lives, that have responsibilities, but at the same time want to game great games. All right? And being able to sit down at home, play, and give you an example. Let's say I want to go to my friend. All right, let's say my friend's find out I haven't hung out with him in a minute, and I really want to game though. I can undock it, put it into my carrying case, come over to his crib, set it up, give him one Joy-Con, and we can play together. We can play games like Madden, NBA, Splatoon, goddamn, Mario Kart, Street Fighter. Just to give you a few names of games that will be able to do that. That is awesome. Awesome. And those types of things can't be done on the Xbox One and PS4. You know what I mean? If I have a 10-hour shift at work, which I sometimes have, sitting in front of at a front desk on a weekend, simply directing people towards a rental, this thing right here is going to be a lifesaver. Sure, it can only last from roughly 3 hours when it comes to high-end games like Legend of Zelda. I can still have a charger with me. You know what I mean? This right here is going to be a marvel. Technological marvel, ladies and gentlemen. This is something that I have dreamed about since I was a child, okay? Playing home-style console games on the go, as well as at home. Can't beat it. You can't beat it. From a consumer standpoint, you can't beat it. And if you're hating upon it, it's simply because you rather A, you can't afford it, or B, you have this idea that Nintendo is for kids. Simple as that. But on that end, I'm sorry if I rambled around this video. If you enjoy my video, please comment in the comment section. Let you know if you're getting the Nintendo Switch, the Wii U, blah. if you're getting a Nintendo Switch, if you're excited for the Nintendo Switch, what are you most looking forward to, or will you be getting it later down the line because you're not sold it? Please leave a comment in the comments section. Let's have a conversation about it. If you enjoyed my video, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Really do appreciate that as well. Hope you have a wonderful day, and peace out, guys.
I've been so alone ever since I left the tribe.